So, Harold and Maude. Music by Joseph Thalken, book and lyrics by Tom Jones, based on the screenplay by Colin Higgins. It's subtitled An Intimate Musical. That's partly because there's just 5 actors, Harold and Maude, and his mother, Mrs. Chasen, and 1 man and 1 woman, each of whom plays many roles. And also it's subtitled that because unlike some musicals which get big and splashy, this one does stay intimate. It's a musical with close-ups, and I think they get perhaps even more close-up and intense as we get into it, and we begin to peel away the facade of what we first thought we saw and learn more about what's behind these people. So I'm just going to do a little bit of bits and pieces of a couple of the scenes, and so you get a taste of what it's like and see whether it's interesting to you. And if it is, then hopefully we can set up something where you can hear the real music, which is, take my word for it, beautiful and funny and very touching. And you won't get any of that from my trying to squawk out a couple of lyrics here. But anyway, so Harold is a strange kid. If you were to see him on the street, you would know right away he's different, he's strange, dressed, looking more like an undertaker's assistant than a kid in the early 1970s. He's about 19, 20 years old. He lives in near isolation from the regular world in this big luxurious home with his mother and the servants. And he spends a lot of his time preparing and then executing these fake suicides to surprise his mother. And when he isn't doing fake suicides, he spends his time going to funerals. And the first scene where that you've heard about when Harry met Sally, well, this is a scene when Harold met Maude. He's at a funeral, and it's going on quietly in the background, and he's seated in a pew, and this eccentrically dressed old woman comes in, and to his surprise and dismay, she sits next to him on the pew, and she has a big bag, and she sort of digs into it, and she says to him, she says, "Psst, you want some naan bread? Oh, no, thank you. You're welcome." And he stares in amazement as she gets out a picnic lunch and puts it on her lap and begins to eat during the funeral service. And she says to him, she's eating, she says, "Did you know him?" "Who?" "Oh, no, me either. Somebody said he was 85. That's a good age, don't you think?" A good age? To pass on, to rearrange, so to speak. 75, too young. You've got a lot of good juice in you still when you're 75. 80, well, 80 is in between. I would say it depends on your health. But after 85, it does seem a little bit downhill. Might as well go ahead and look over the horizon. You want some hummus? No, thank you. Huh. You don't eat much, do you? I'm on a diet. Oh. I'll be 80 in a month. Seems ancient to you, doesn't it? Seems ancient to me too, sometimes. Oh, and they both rise as the priest and the altar boy leave. And Maude says, "Black, black, black, why do they always wear black? When I die, I want people to wear green or yellow, like sunflowers." excuse me for a minute. She gets a small gourd rattle from her bag and goes over by the coffin, and she goes like this. She goes, don't look for me here. I am not here. Look for me in the wind that blows through the tall grass. Look for me in the sunshine and the snow. I am the bird that flies above you singing. Don't look for me here. I am not here. Native American, Shoshone. What's your name? And he says, Harold Chasen. Well, Harold Chasen, I am the Countess Mathilde Chardin, but you can call me Maude. Do you go to funerals often? Well, that's what I thought. I've seen you before. And they're nice, aren't they? They're satisfying. They're stand for something. There's no reason to wear black. And he says, well, I have to go. And she starts to go, but she grabs him by the arm and she says, you know what they do in Greece, in the Orthodox Church in Greece? On Saturday night before Easter Sunday, they bring a coffin to church. And then at midnight, they open it up. And when it is empty, they yell, Christos Anestis, they yell, and the bells start to bong, and the music begins, and the wine starts to pour out of great wooden bins. And they all form a circle, and everyone dances and spins. It's not over, you see. It's beginning. A circle is always beginning. And she sings, nightly, brightly in the sky, wheels of fire go spinning by. Giant spiral nebulae spinning round and round, round and round and round. Look inside some microscope. What seems solid isn't, nope. In each tiny isotope, other worlds abound, and they're spinning, always spinning, round and round and round. Births and deaths and births again, joy, despair, romance, in and out the circles spin. It's the cosmic dance. See the lovers bending low, see the seed beneath the snow. Out of darkness, life can grow. This is what I've found. We are in a cosmic dance spinning round and round. She says, well, I must be off. I have a busy day. Can I drop you someplace? The music is still playing under this. And he says, no, I have my own car. She says, this is a nice key ring, isn't it? My friend Big Sweeney gave it to me before he went away upstate. The only problem is there are so many choices. Tell me, do you dance? What? Do you sing and dance? No, I didn't think so. Do you play an instrument? No, but you must learn. You can't go through life without making music. That'd be too sad. Oh, this one will do fine. Get yourself some drums today. Find yourself some pipes to play. Carpe diem, as they say. Make a joyful sound. We are in a cosmic dance, spinning round and round, in and out, and up and down, and round and round and round. Bye. And she's gone. And the priest come back in, and as they hear a car rev up and go down the road, he comes over by Harold and he says, that woman, she took my car. And that's the end of that first meeting. They meet again at another funeral when she's actually at a funeral outdoors at a burial ground. I guess they call it a cemetery, don't they? She's looking for him. She's got a small tree in a wheelbarrow that she's dug up in front of the courthouse because she thinks it's been dying of automobile fumes, and she wants to rescue it. And so she gets Harold to lift it and help her, and then she gets him to help her steal a pickup truck so they can take it out by someplace near the sea, the ocean, and plant it. And that one thing leads to another, and he finds himself increasingly kind of fascinated by her, and they find out more about each other. He finds out, for one thing, he sees the tattoo with the numbers on her wrist, but she doesn't want to talk about that. But she gets him to talk about his suicides and the elaborate preparations, and he said, the first one wasn't even planned, so I don't count that. I was at boarding school, working in the chemistry lab, doing an experiment, and suddenly there was this huge explosion, and blew me over, knocked me down, and singed my hair, and I looked over, and part of the building was on fire. So I thought, I better go home, and I went home, and my mother was giving a party as usual, so I snuck up the back steps, and then there was a ring at the door, and it was the police, and they told my mother that I had died in an accident at school, and she began to cry. She put her hand up to her head like a, oh, and she fell down to her knees, and she began to sob. That's when I decided that I liked being dead. So Maude, then he trusts Maude so much that he shows her his special secret in his backpack, wrapped in a lot of tissue paper, a revolver. And he talks about how hard it is to do these fake suicides and how he's tempted sometimes. And he sings a song. He sings, "The real thing is so simple. The real thing is so fast. You simply move your finger, and the future is the past. You step out of the window, you watch the night slide by, you close your eyes and realize it simplifies to die. The real thing, then it's over. The real thing, and goodbye. Someday I think I'd like to try the real thing." In other words, it's a love song to suicide. Instead of being shocked or reproaching him, Maude says she understands. She says she too has wanted to be dead. She used to pretend that she was dead. And then so she joins him in the singing of the song, further cementing their relationship. And as it develops, he asks her, by the way, in between all of these scenes, as we find out more and more about Harold and Maude, and it seems funny, most of them, with his mother, but his mother's decided that he needs to be married. That's his whole problem. So she's got this dating service, and she says to Harold, they screen out the fat, the poor, and the ugly, so it's obviously a firm of high standards. And between these scenes were very real, close scenes with Maude, or scenes that are pretty funny, I think, with each of the girls from the dating service. Anyway, in his development with Maude, excuse me, let me take a drink of water. He asks her, if she would teach him how to play a musical instrument. She says, of course, she's delighted, but she doesn't have anything nearby, so she gets a couple of spoons for him and for her, and she teaches them how to play the spoons, which is a kind of spectacular thing if you've ever seen it, and should be, I like to think, maybe a show-stopping number if she can really do the spoons. Anyway, and then after that, she gets him to help her pack up some things, and he says, Maude, these small frames, they don't have any photographs in them. And she says, oh, photographs were all destroyed in the war. The people too. And he says, well, why do you keep the frames? She says, well, you know, I still see them, the photographs and the people, and I keep the frames to remind me not to stop looking. And she sings, deep, deep down inside, where no one else can see, I keep one tiny room that is only for me. There, sheltered from care, I'm with my family. They're all alive, just as they used to be. All their faces are shining so bright. There's no sign of the nightmare outside us. Safe, at last they're safe, hiding inside of me. I keep them far from the shattering glass, far from the shattering glass. And she begins to weep, and he says, Maude, please don't cry. I don't know how to help you. I don't know what to do. I've always thought of you as strong, but really that's not true. You're fragile too. You need someone to hold you when you cry. I've never cared for anyone, but maybe I could try. And he puts his arms around her, and she's so grateful. And then he lifts her face and wipes away a tear, and then he kisses her, and she kisses him back. And then he takes her hand in what seems to be a very natural and indeed inevitable moment. They walk together over to the bed as the lights dim out. And there's a funny scene with his mother, and then it's Maude's 80th birthday. And there's a nice little, you see how complimentary I am to the work, but I really do like it, and I think you may too. Anyway, there's the title song, fun song, as he's decorating for her 80th birthday with the banner and everything. And she comes in, and he's got sunflowers all around, and happy birthday Maude banner, and champagne, and all of that. And she says, oh, this makes me so happy. I can't imagine a lovelier farewell. And he says, farewell? You're not going anywhere, are you? She says, Harold, I have to talk to you. Sit down. And he sits down. She says, now give me your hands. She says, now you have to promise me that you won't try to go somewhere when I talk to you. And will you promise? And he says, yes. And she says, I'm going to die. What do you mean? I'm going to die now, soon, tonight. I've already taken the pills. And he starts to get up, and she says, no, you promised. He says, but I have to do something. She says, no, I just want you to be here to help me make my journey. And she says, you know, I've been planning this for a long time, but I kept putting it off, and I don't know why. I didn't know why, but now I do know why, Harold. I was waiting for something, and I was waiting for you. You're my tree, Harold. I need for you to grow. And so he does help her make her passage. He moves her at her request over to the window so she can see the sky. And he brings her the glass of champagne, and they sit side by side. And she says, Now, isn't this better than being in a hospital with tubes and the television blaring? I'd much rather you remember me like this. And he says, Maude, please, don't die. And she says, I'm not afraid of dying, Harold. I've been afraid of not living, but I've never been afraid of dying. It's organic, which is what she says about the pot she grows in the backyard. So she passes away peacefully. We go to dark. The next morning, harsh light beginning to rise. Harold comes in, exhausted. He tears down the banner, the happy birthday banner. He gets out from his revolver, and as he holds it there, he notices the little gift she's left him for him from the night before, which he hasn't opened. So he picks up, he's got the revolver in one hand and the gift in the other. So he puts down the revolver and he opens the gift, and it's two bright, shiny silver spoons. And he sings then a very short, quiet, with different lyrics, part of the Harold and Maude song. And Harold and Maude, isn't it strange? Tables can turn, people can change. All at once, to my surprise, you decide to leave me. Still I see you by my side. Still I hear your song, and it is beautiful. So as life passes by, I will give it a try. And if you want to know why, Harold and Maude, and he clinks the two spoons together, making a sound, and the lights dim down. So, as I say, the music is very beautiful and a lot of times very funny. So anyway, if you like it, check it out. Okay.